Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our YouTube audience also. Today's subject is on the theme of our journey towards healing, and not just the physical healing, but the emotional and spiritual dimensions that shape our lives. In a book called The Wounded Storyteller by Arthur Frank, we come to recognize the importance of narrative in the healing process. The stories that we tell ourselves about our woundedness, our sickness, and how those stories may continue to inform our beliefs and journeys. Frank's insights remind us that our stories, especially those of suffering and recovery, hold transformative power. At the core of The Wounded Storyteller is the idea that all of us are wounded in some way. Life presents us with challenges, loss, illness, grief, and trauma, amongst other things, that can leave us feeling shattered and isolated. Yet within those wounds lie unique opportunities for growth and connection. Healing's not merely about the absence of pain. It's about the journey through the pain, embracing our vulnerabilities and finding meaning in our experiences. He explains in his book 3 possible scenarios. The first one is that someone's going along with their life pretty normally, then they experience some kind of medical crisis which leads to a hospitalization. But when they come out, they return to their ordinary life. Nothing really has changed. In the second scenario, the person has the medical crisis and afterwards returns home, but things become chaotic and start a downward spiral into even more chaos. There's no real resolution. And the third scenario is the one where, after the hospitalization, a person returns home, seemingly with a mission, with a profound change and a story to tell. The storytelling is not only a way to gain a deeper understanding of our own pain, but also a means to connect with others. When we share our stories, we invite not only empathy and understanding into the space of our wounds, but we allow others to find a means to connect with when they too may not have found or felt they've had a voice to share that own woundedness. So in this sharing, we can find a sense of community and belonging. Our wounds, rather than isolating us, can become bridges to deeper relationships. Transformative healing begins when we acknowledge our suffering and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. In a society that often values strength and stoicism, there's a great deal of courage in admitting our pain. This acknowledgement is the first step towards healing. It's through vulnerability that we can connect with others, creating a shared narrative that rises above individual experiences. Frank emphasizes the importance of being heard and of having our stories validated. When we express our struggles and are met with compassion, we begin to heal. As we embark on this journey of storytelling, we must also recognize the power of narrative in shaping our identities. Our stories do not simply tell of the events, but they frame our understanding of who we are in relation to these experiences. The stories that we tell ourselves can either continue to trap us in that woundedness or empower us to overcome them. By reframing our stories and changing the tapes that we play in our heads, the beliefs that we may have about ourselves or the tapes that other people perceive us to be. We can shift from being identified solely as victims to becoming survivors and then thrivers. Of course, telling our stories means nothing if we don't have someone to listen to us. So the role of the listener is also important. Healing occurs in the relational space where stories are exchanged. As listeners, we're called to practice active empathy, creating a safe environment for others to share their wounds without judgment. In this way, we become co-narrators in the healing journey. Our presence and compassion can bring light to the path for those who are struggling. Sometimes, and especially as family members, we may feel that our loved ones who may be experiencing their substance or alcohol use disorder should be coming to us. We should be their confidence, or that they should hold themselves accountable to us. However, it's just as essential to realize that yes, there does need to be honesty and transparency between us, but as family members, we have also been wounded by our loved ones, and we have our own story to tell. So anything that they may share with us may potentially be met with our own fears and suspicions. As family members, we need to give our loved ones the space to find their community of support in recovery, just as we as family members need to find our community of support. People to share our fears or anger or concerns with, so that we can return to being a family with our loved ones, not their watcher, not their critic, not their helper, but their family. Another reading relates to the idea of telling our stories. It can be seen in James 5, verses 13 to 16. This passage encourages people to come together in times of trouble, to pray for one another, and, as it says, to confess their sins to one another. It highlights the importance of communal support in the healing process. It reads in part, "Is any of you suffering? Let them pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let them sing songs of praises. Is any among you sick? Let them call for the elders of the church and let them pray over you." The scripture reminds us that healing is not meant to be a solitary endeavor. By sharing our struggles and joys within a community, we create a space for collective healing and support. Now, when we look at the 12 steps, a clear example of sharing our struggles can be found in the 4th and 5th steps. Now, these steps are really important as they get to the heart of such things, such as fears, resentments, and other areas that might be blocking us from finding the wholeness of healing in mind, body, and spirit. Is when we share out loud our deepest secrets, fears, areas of shame, guilt, anger, resentments, and other hurts with a trusted other who is walking the journey of recovery with us, who hears us and can meet us where we need to be met with grace in that moment, that the healing can truly begin. And this is something that family members can also experience. Your woundedness, anger, resentments, and pain can also be heard by a caring other in your own community of support that has walked this path that you are also on. If you were to join such a group like Al-Anon or its similar forms. There's another another reading, a poem called Journey of Healing, written by Garima Sharma, and it shares themes related to how when we move on a journey towards healing, we must allow ourselves to wrestle with the areas of difficulty, woundedness, and brokenness we may be feeling. Because it's only when we allow ourselves to engage in the wrestling with these things that we can come through them stronger, having learned something, and as Arthur Frank might say, with a renewed sense of meaning. Now, some of the adapted poem reads, "Healing takes time, the wounds need care, but with bravery, strength, and willingness to share, try new things, explore the uncharted ground, discover the power in the love that is found. Be real, not perfect, in each whispered conversation. Speak of both joys and struggles without hesitation. This new journey you'll embark upon is worth every effort to mend what's been done. For the love you have, it's worth all the strife, and you can build a beautiful life. So embrace this path with an open heart. Let love guide you through those difficult parts. With a strong commitment, grow even stronger, creating a bond that will last even longer." Healing is often portrayed as a destination, a point we reach after overcoming hardship or adversity. But even as we look at this poem, we recognize that healing is not a linear process, but rather a journey filled with many ups and downs. It begins with acknowledgement. We must first recognize our wounds, the emotional scars, the pain of loss, or confronting the reality of how the substance or alcohol use has impacted our lives and our relationships. Whether we're a family member or a person starting our own recovery journey from the substance or alcohol, by bringing these experiences into the light, we can begin to understand their influence on our behaviors and choices. Now, in the poem, we see how healing involves embracing our vulnerabilities. It is often in our moments of vulnerability that we find the strength to heal. We live in a society that often encourages us to wear masks of strength, like the Sia song, "I put my armor on, show you how strong I am." Yet true healing requires us to shed these masks, shed that armor, and show our authentic selves. It's in our honesty, our willingness to confront that pain, that we lay the groundwork for transformation. Just as the poem says, be real, not perfect, in each whispered conversation. Speak of both joys and struggles without hesitation. As we journey further into healing, we must remember to have self-compassion. Healing is not an act of punishment, that is, punishing ourselves or punishing our loved ones or others, but rather a nurturing process. In order to be able to effectively offer support and love for each other, we must also learn to extend that same kindness to ourselves. Once more, the process of doing a worksheet such as the 4th step and sharing this out loud with a sponsor or trusted person in our recovery program can help us find self-compassion as well as healthy accountability for past mistakes, helping us to let go of some of that shame associated with our distorted thinking, tapes in our heads, or the lies that our substance or alcohol has tried to tell us. The journey of healing invites us to embrace self-love, recognizing that every step taken towards recovery is a testament to our strength and determination. Another significant aspect of this journey is the role of community. In the poem, Sharma highlights the value of connection with others. Whether you're a family member in your own substance or alcohol recovery, the importance of community cannot be overstated. Support groups, friends, and families can provide a network of understanding and encouragement. We've got to remember that healing requires patience. The journey is not hurried. It unfolds in its own time. For those who've used substances or alcohol or behaviors or relationships addictively, the desire for instant relief can be overwhelming. However, true healing often demands us all to sit with our discomfort, process those emotions, and allow ourselves the grace of time. For those of you who are familiar with Smart Recovery, point 2 of Smart Recovery talks about learning how to cope with our urges and cravings. And this is a reminder that even though we may feel really uncomfortable when we feel that urge or that craving, the urge or the craving will not destroy us. Yet picking up that substance or alcohol again might. It can certainly destroy our relationships with ourselves as much as with our families and other people. Recovery is a journey that encompasses setbacks and successes, reminding us that growth is not always visible. It often happens beneath the surface, in the quiet moments of reflection and introspection. Finally, the journey of healing is one of hope. As we travel this path, we begin to recognize the beauty that emerges from our struggles. The poem invites us to envision a future where our wounds become sources of strength. For many here today, this means transforming the pain of addiction into a powerful narrative of resilience, compassion, and wisdom. Through our healing, we gain insights that not only enrich our lives, but also inspire others who may be facing similar battles. So let us embrace this journey of healing as a sacred journey, one that requires acknowledgement, vulnerability, self-compassion, community, patience, and hope. Let us remember that this journey of healing teaches us that even in the darkest moments, there is potential for growth and renewal. Our wounds do not define us, but they can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Just as the wounded storyteller finds strength and healing in their narrative, we too can find strength and healing in our own stories and that journey that we're on. Amen.